Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I'm Heena Gambhir. Tamil Nadu will witness elections for urban local bodies on 19th of February. After a long wait of about 10 years, civic body polls will be held in Tamil Nadu. The polling for various positions in local bodies will be held in a single phase on February 19, and the counting of the votes will take place on 22nd of February. The Model Code of Conduct has come into effect at the 21 municipal corporations, 138 municipalities and 489 town panchayats going to polls. On Mirror Now, we are focusing on the issues of Chennai, which are at the forefront in these very crucial polls. Key issues include flooding and stormwater drains, corruption, roads, drinking water, sewage pipelines and garbage woes, of course, which is a big concern for the people of Chennai. When we spoke to people of Chennai, they said that they feel deprived of the most basic facilities and also face a lot of difficulties without a city mayor. Listen in.
When we go on the roads, the pedestrian side, there's no respect for pedestrian or what? The cycle paths have not been maintained. The children cannot cycle and go to school, and many other problems, as you all know. It's not one or two. There are so many. But only we are very happy that these elections are happening. And I call on to every citizen to come forward and give their vote. And that will help us to bring a mayor who will be fit to make Chennai a beautiful city, isn't it, Vijay?
Yeah, ma'am, how do you see the importance of this election, ma'am? Because now this is being held after 10 years. As ma'am rightly pointed out, during last deluge, we saw the entire area was underwater. How do you see the importance of holding this local body elections now?
It is very important, and we are very happy with the elections. We'll have some representative to go and present our problems with.
So we need this election, and moreover the local election body, so that we can get a local person who will going to come to know about our problems and they can solve. So we need this election and we're going to vote.
There have been several allegations of huge corruption because there was no elected representatives in place, and they were saying that there were officials who were colluding with the several contractors and not properly laying down the road. So we have another resident here. Sir, you being a daily commuter, sir, we are seeing most of the people are complaining about poor road or substandard road quality, sir. How do you see it, sir? And how do you think that this election will help to solve that issue?
Yeah, especially in the recent floods in this area, our KK Nagar, surrounded by it's like island. The roads have been damaged heavily in the waterlogging. So many trucks, lorries have been damaged in the roads. So we are severely affected.
So tonight on Urban Debate at 8 on Mirror Now, we will have a discussion with people's representatives, and we'll try and understand some of the key issues for which mandate will be decided. We will also discuss why the polls being held after about 10 years is very, very significant, and how the people of Chennai really are looking at these very important civic body polls. Joining us on the broadcast right now are my guests this evening. We are joined by Narayan Tirupati, spokesperson of the BJP. We have with us Sanjay Pinto, lawyer and a columnist. We are also joined by Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist here on the broadcast. Gokul Chandran, political analyst, will be joining us in just a bit. And we will also be joined by A. Sarvanan, spokesperson, DMK, who is also a lawyer. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Sanjay Pinto, good to have you on the show today. I want to begin the discussion with you. First time in about 10 years, Chennai will have local body polls. How important are they really for the people of Chennai? And, what is it that you are going to be focusing on as far as these polls are concerned?
Thank you, Heena. If a 94-year-old lady in Chennai and Besanagar can throw a hat in the ring, that is not just an offbeat story for the media. It is a reflection of the collective thirst of people in Chennai to have their local representatives, somebody who can listen to their problems, somebody who will be their voice. Now, we know we don't really need a natural disaster like floods like we witnessed recently, and flooding and bad roads and several other civic grievances that are common to cities across the country, to know that we need focused attention. That focused, intensive approach can best come from a local representative, that is a councillor. Now, I'm very glad that these polls are happening. After all, we are now ruled by Mr. M.K. Stalin, the chief minister, who has in the past been mayor of the city, who's been local administration minister of the city, who understands the importance of local self-government. Local self-government is not a favor to the citizens. It is a constitutional prescription on Article 243. So while I've said that, I must also caution people that local body polls are not a magic panacea for all our ills. Remember, if you ask an average Chennaiite, whenever there's some building material outside, stacked outside somebody's house, you'll find a local councillor who will land up there. So there have been allegations of corruption in the past as well against local representatives, especially local councillors. So that could act like a double-edged sword. However, it's good to have. I'm a little surprised that we've not had vibrant participation from residents' welfare associations who have their ear to the ground, who are clued in with local problems. I would have loved to see more residents' associations being fielded by political parties, not to have a 94-year-old party from Ananagar having to brave it herself in this election. It's a welcome move, but I really would like to see more local involvement in the electoral process itself. If you look at the number of candidates, I've been hearing them, many of them with a loud beating of drums, thinking that they can drum up support by inconveniencing the common man with their blaring loudspeakers. How many of these names do we recognize? Let the viewers answer this. How many names in the fray are recognizable names? Are these people aware of? Let them list 3 problems in a particular area that they aspire to contest. So while it's important to have these local body polls, Heena, and I welcome it, we must also take it with a bucket of salt, because it's not going to be an immediate answer to our problems. That's going to be really put to the test.
Okay, interesting points you've made, and one of the points that you raised, I want to take that across to Narayan Tirupati and A. Sarvanan. Narayan Tirupati, to you first. The point is, why can't we have socially eminent people with a connect with the public be really appointed? Why should the cake really be distributed among the political parties when it comes to these kind of elections?
No, see, there is nothing wrong with the political parties. Why should not the political parties be in the fray? But I do admit what Sanjay Pinto had said, and my friend Sanjay Pinto, I am sure he was there in the 2006 elections, covering up the elections when he was a big journalist here. So he knows how the elections went on and how was the corruption those days, and that is going to continue if again one of these parties are going to have a major stake. And definitely, we are worried also because, as you rightly said, that this is a political game. Lakhs and lakhs of money is being pumped in, and there are a lot of complaints that DMK is trying to give money and use force, and that is what they used to do in 2006 elections also. Even I have experience. As an opposition party, did not want the elections to happen when they were in opposition. Now, since they are in the ruling party, now they are conducting this. But I expect, a decent and fair election. But I expect only. And the thing is that corruption is the main cause, because here, again, lakhs and lakhs of money is being pumped in. And that's it. So we have to go with the rule. We have to go with the law.
Okay.
The rulers should, follow the rules.
Okay. A. Sarvanan, M.K. Stalin promised change. Now the question is he really now going to succumb to the compulsions of politics, or will have the courage really to end the legacy to which even DMK has been a party, as far as these polls are concerned?
See, DMK has always been a supporter of grassroots politics. It is the DMK party which ensured, whenever we were in power, we ensured that the elections took place. 1990, whenever ADMK was in power, they ensured that the local body elections does not happen. It last happened in 2011, and from 2016, it did not happen because they did not have the courage to face the people. That is one of the important reasons. And if we look at what the DMK has done in terms of empowering women across the local body polls, we ensured that 50% of the seats are reserved for the women. And now in the mayoral posts in the city, 3 divisions are there. All the 3 divisions, we have women, and one is for SC women. This is how our leader has envisioned to empower women. and almost all the other important cities, two-tier cities, all of them are going to be headed by a women mayor. And this is what we want to do. And the ADMK, which was not able to conduct the elections, has lost. Even when ADMK was in power, they did not win a fair share. And the last elections, which was for the rural bodies, we won a significant number of seats, and we are hoping that we will repeat that in this elections also. Our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has set a new norm as the chief minister. He is the man on the ground. Whatever, it's rain or shine, he is there. Whatever be the situation, when it is raining, from morning 7 to evening 9, he's there. So definitely this is going to be a different kind of a local body. And he will ensure that the top down, from the top down, the governance trickles down to the lowermost part of this democratic organ. This is going to be a new thing for the city, because he was the mayor. He was the mayor. Just a moment. He was mayor.
There are promises that are being made.
I'll finish this.
Yes, very quickly, Saravanan. Very quickly, please.
Our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, was the mayor of the city of Chennai from 1996 to 2001. And that is that period. The entire city, the entire face of the city was transformed. We have, there are a lot of cities which are stagnating in traffic. But Chennai, of course, there is a traffic problem. But we don't have a stagnating traffic in Chennai. That is because of these flyovers that has come across the city, taking into account the future growth. So definitely those kind of schemes will find place in the next 5 years.
Got your point, Saravanan. Madhavan Narayanan.
Yes.
Now, we also know that as far as these local bodies are concerned, they have a sinful past of corruption as well. Even though, just like every election, here also big promises are being made. As Saravanan mentioned, as Mr. Narayan Tirupati mentioned, that, intention, of course, is there. But then the question is that how are the political parties really going to reverse this sinful past of corruption?
Yeah, but I think, we should stop looking at it simply in terms of corruption or in terms of things like women participating or others participating. See, the point is, this is not, if there is no point in holding a local election if it's not going to be fought on local issues. And local elections are held with the primary idea of having people you can touch and feel, you can have access to. And I feel that, I must confess, I'm sitting in Delhi, but I'm tracking the Tamil Nadu local elections. And also because I have some claims as somebody who has covered the finance ministry and the rural development ministry at the center with an idea on Panchayat Raj, I find that the focus is not on issues at all. It's being fought on party lines with the usual rhetoric. And I believe even talking against corruption is only rhetoric, because you cannot hold local elections without empowering local people. And empowerment means transparency in terms of issues, transparency in terms of resources. Sanjay Pinto mentioned that residents' welfare associations are not. I can suggest a reason why they are not participating. Are they even aware how much money is available? Are they even aware how resources are raised for civic elections, civic bodies, whether it's a rural panchayat or an urban local body? There is a complete lack of awareness, and the media is also to blame, because everybody is using very pedestrian style of covering these issues. Somebody promises, I'll make more roads, I'll keep my promises, this leader is good. This is not the way you fight local elections. Local elections are fought with a detailed sense of issues and a detailed sense of what will be done by when. Unlike state elections or central elections. Look at the irony of the fact that the previous government didn't hold an election and no one really bothered. Nobody can be punished for not holding elections. There is no meaningful election commission. There's no meaningful media coverage of the issues apart from a 94-year-old woman sounding sprightly. We need to cover issues. Which are the issues which are within the control of the local body? How much resources are there? Who is going to be held accountable? By what mechanism? Is there a website by which the Panchayat Raj elected or local body elected people will communicate. You know, I have to take you to Aruna Roy's movement against corruption, which talks about Mera Hamara Paisa Hamara Hisab, which means that ordinary people need to be made aware. Even if urban residents welfare associations who are supposed to be very educated, people living in apartments with graduate degrees, even if they have a cynical or helpless approach, what we could say is that this is a good beginning to have local elections, but we have to go beyond this Talaivar culture in this. We have to say Nammavar culture. Who is my man? Who I can pick up a phone and talk to WhatsApp? And who do I punish if something goes wrong? You know, otherwise this whole Talaivar culture is bad even in higher levels. But at least there is a strong leader needed or a good party needed. But local elections need to be shifting
I think
the
those
paradigm.
are some very interesting points, Madhavan Narayanan, that you have raised, and we'll get the political representatives here to respond to those. But
the Finance Commission is supposed to give grants to panchayats. Okay, nobody even knows. Nobody even discusses how much everybody has in terms of money. I mean, if without knowing how much money is being spent, how are you going to ever hold accountable anybody? You know, it's fancy. All parties are at fault, in my opinion, in Tamil Nadu. You have to raise the level of discourse in this.
Well,
this is my considered opinion.
Interesting point, sir, you are raising. Focus, in your opinion, is not on issues at all this time as well. That's why it's looking just like any other election that we see in any other state, especially the assembly elections that we have. I'll get the political representatives here to respond to that. But before that, let me go across to Gokul Chandran as well and get his opening comments. In your view, is this going to be an election to grab control, to grab power, or the idea is to seriously address the issues of people? Do you see lives of the people of Chennai changing really after these elections, after the results come out on February 22nd?
Good evening to everyone. I really don't understand equating the status of the garbages in Chennai, the roads of Chennai, to local body elections. See, what happened was,
during the last 5 years of ADMK rule,
are they not issues?
They neglect.
Are they not issues?
Pardon?
Gokul Chandran, are they not issues? Flooding,
listen,
sewage,
I will explain how.
Garbage, are these not issues for people? And shouldn't these be the issues for local body polls?
Can I complete, please? At least give me 30 seconds to complete what I want to say so that you can interrupt. If the elections doesn't happen for some reason, there is a state government to look after the issues. There is a local administration minister to look after the issues. So you can't blame, since the elections didn't happen, that's why Chennai is in a bad state. You have to simply squarely blame it on the previous ADMK government, which totally neglected the state. And you can't blame, just because the elections didn't happen, things are not happening. Even if the election has not happened, only the one tier of political business has stopped. But you have a state government which runs things. Why didn't the state government take care of things? Mr. Sanjay Pinto, on his opening remarks, told the lack of local administrative things which led to the chaos in Chennai. But then I want to ask, there is a state government which was functioning. There were ministers, there were MLAs, there were MPs. What stopped these people to work for Chennai or work for the benefit of the people of Chennai? That's why I don't understand. Even today, the elections are going to happen.
Are you trying to suggest that we should not have these local body polls? So
No,
Gokul Chandran, are you then saying that since for last 10 years there were no local body polls, why have it even now? Is that your view? These do not serve any purpose?
Listen, people need the representatives whom you can approach to. What I am trying to say is, just because the election didn't happen for 11 years, you can't blame that for the poor condition of roads and the garbage woes of Chennai. I just want to ask, what was the state government doing? What were the MLAs and other people representatives doing? And the other thing you are mentioning about corruption. Why do you want to say only the elected people do corruption? How about the bureaucrats? If the elected corporators and councillors are not there, the people, the government employees, they do corruption. So you cannot blame you cannot bring in
Well,
corruption
in
also
local
for
body,
governance.
in local bodies, their corruption clearly has been a big issue. And Sanjay Pinto wanted to respond to what you said. Sanjay Pinto, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Gokul actually heard me out fully or if he joined late. I did not make a cause and effect argument between the, not holding local body polls and infrastructural woes in the city. What I was trying to make, the point I was trying to make is that you can't expect local body polls to be a panacea for all our problems. I said that very clearly. The larger point that I made was that why isn't in terms of the choice of local candidates and the choice of councillor candidates, why can't we field, why hasn't any political party really fielded representatives from residents' welfare associations? I'll give you a small example. For instance, there are neighborhood newspapers being run. There is a very prominent neighborhood newspaper, a pioneer of neighborhood journalism called Vincent D'Souza, who runs a paper called Mylapore Times, who has his ear to the ground, who knows about issues. I ideally would like a local councillor to be aware of when a particular road was laid, when it cracked up, when potholes emerged, who was the contractor. I would like my local councillor, I would like to have the number of my local councillor on my speed dial. I would like him to store my number and know who's calling when I call. I would like my local councillor, for that matter, even the local MLA, to even respond to a tweet or to a social media post. How many of them do that? Their accounts are managed by some agencies and they don't even have the courtesy to respond. So I would like a sense of accountability. First of all, my appeal to political parties the next time at least is to try and field people who have an interest in infrastructural matters. There are several activists that are good, credible NGOs who have been doing human service. I do admit that this government has, in fact, got the right intentions. I've said this earlier also, but Stalin being a former mayor, being a former local administration minister, I do believe that there is potential, but then I think we need to completely overhaul the way we look at fielding candidates. That's the larger point that I have, and candidates who can be literally like the man or the lady next door to whom I can go to when I have a problem without having to pull strings, without having to escalate matters unnecessarily. That is the wish of every Chennaiite.
Okay. Interesting point you're making, Sanjay. To me, it looks more like a musical chair as far as political parties are concerned, more of a placatory exercise, because it seems that those who do not get Lok Sabha ticket are somehow adjusted, in the assembly elections. Those who do not get assembly election tickets are probably adjusted as far as these local bodies are concerned. So, Mr. Narayan Tirupati, is merit not really an agenda here when it comes to giving tickets to candidates? Is that the reason why we do not have people from the ground?
The question is to me?
Yes, Mr. Tirupati.
Yeah. See, I could not hear properly what you asked. What is it?
I was asking, sir, is this like a placatory exercise by political parties? Somebody who does not get ticket during the Lok Sabha elections is adjusted, in the assembly elections, and those who miss out during the assembly elections are given tickets during the local body polls. Is it like a musical chair, more of a placatory exercise by the political parties? And that's the reason why we do not really have relevant people or people who have got their ear to the ground as the candidates, the point that Mr. Sanjay Pinto has also raised.
No, see, what Sanjay Pinto saying is right. You have, some sand and stones in front of an house, the councillors will go there. That's what he said. And that is a fact. It's a very famous, words, from Sanjay Pinto, what he said. But remember one thing, the central government has granted more than 40 crores from the month of May to December for desilting lakes and also to clear the stormwater drains. But out of 2,100 kilometers, the stormwater drains were cleaned up only 700 kilometers. That is what the DMK government itself has very clearly on record has said. So there is
but here I'm talking about the selection of candidates, Mr. Narayan Tirupati.
Wait. The previous
here I'm
talking
about the selection of the candidates.
Let me finish. The previous speaker was talking about the local administration. He was talking about the state government. That is why I am forced to tell this. So it is a very clear problem created by the DMK government. And now, coming back to your point. See, I don't think, the leftover candidates or leftover persons of, assembly elections or member of parliament. No, it is not like that. And these people work throughout 24 hours, and almost all the parties are fielding local candidates, local DMK people or ADMK or even BJP, Congress, that they do. But this has become a business. We have to understand that, yes, councillors have become, it's a profession. They have taken it as a profession. What Saravanan said was wrong, because when DMK was in opposition, it was the DMK which saw to it that the elections did not happen by going to court for various reasons. And that is after immediately, they were very sure that they are going to win and all those things. Last year they had this elections for the rural thing. Now they are in, urban elections are happening. But we have to understand that our system is this, that, these elections are done. But you are talking only about the Chennai city or Chennai corporation. But we have got elections in all town panchayats, and there the things are very different. In the wards, definitely people with more knowledge, people with the local knowledge, and also near and dear, because the life in city is totally different from, villages or small towns.
But then, Mr. Saravanan, the question is, why do we have people like Mr. Sanjay Pinto, who understand the state quite well, Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, who also understands the state quite well and the issues quite well, telling us that, there is a dearth of candidates clearly in such elections who have their ear to the ground, people who they can just call, who the people on the ground can call if there's any problem. Why are they saying it? Why are they raising these issues then, if it is happening? And you're not just doing a placatory exercise.
See, this is the other way around. This is not a placatory exercise that we are going to give seats for people who have lost out on the assembly segments or the other segments. In fact, this is the starting point. People who become councillors, they perform well, they go on to become MLAs. We have so many success stories like that. As far as DMK is concerned, we are very, very clear that only the persons who are locally influential, who are having their ears on the ground, they are given the seats. This has been the common theme, and that is what has happened in this elections also. This candidates election was also only based on those lines. And when we talk about all the other districts, where the other places it's happening, everywhere, it is only the local thing. But now, in these elections also, we cannot expect, and it is not happening, only that the local issues will dominate the outcome. It is clearly divided on the political lines. So very few seats. If the candidate is so influential, he may win independently. But apart from that, we are like everything. What are we speaking? What is happening outside is in front of their mobile screens the next moment. So we cannot avoid that. When we speak of elections, we cannot avoid it. That is how it is going to be. This is one thing. The other thing is, when Mr. Narayanan Tirupati is saying that the DMK has not utilized these funds and endorsements, the ADMK swindled 6,500 crores from 2015. From 2015 until now, the ADMK government has spent 6,500 crores for augmenting drainage of water when there is a storm, when there is excess rainfall. But see what happened in the last election, last rains.
What have you
Chennai
done?
was literally flooded. It was because the smart city, even the existing drains were somewhat better, laid down by the British. It was somewhat better. What these people did is they damaged that. They changed the alignment. They changed the gradient only because they wanted commission. This is how the ADMK. Did the BJP raise any point about that? When they were in power, they were in bed with the ADMK. Okay. Did they say anything?
Quick response, Narayan Tirupati, then I'll go across to Madhavan Narayanan.
See, my only question is this.
Quick response, Narayan Tirupati.
If Saravanan accuses the ADMK of wrongdoings, of misappropriation of funds, what they have done, they are saying in each and every debate, and also the Chief Minister is accusing, the ADMK government. But what step they have taken? But they have given more powers to the persons whom they say they are responsible. They have elevated them. They have empowered them. That is what we have been saying. See, the DMK wants to have corruption at its highest level from this election also, from these councillors also. That because they know that huge funds are coming inside. Okay. That is what they are trying to do. First of all, their choice of candidates are they have their candidates only in terms of money. That is the main thing.
Yeah, let me just
Okay.
give a small
Okay,
rebuttal.
quick
Just give a very
response.
small
Quick
rebuttal.
response, Saravanan. Very quickly, please.
Yeah. Yes.
Very
See,
quickly.
the BJP was a silent partner with all the corruption that was done by the ADMK party. They never raised even the little finger. Even in the Kisan scheme, which was the Prime Minister's much touted scheme, there was a huge corruption. Did the BJP do anything? They kept silent. They kept quiet.
Yes.
They kept quiet.
Yes.
They did not ask for
Okay. Let's
back.
now not make it
Money
BJP
has
versus
been taken back.
AIADMK, DMK versus BJP. Okay,
Money
gentlemen,
from
calm
those who
down.
did
In fact,
corruption.
let me tell you, all civic projects were plagued by corruption even in the last 6 years when there were no elected councillors. So, Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, and the question will also be for Sanjay Pinto, no one has a clean shirt here in this particular game. The issue really, it seems, is whose shirt is cleaner, isn't it?
No, I think, Heena, you have to change the framing of the question itself. I'm sorry. See, I did not like the way Mr. Saravanan Nadurai and Narayanan Tirupati spoke about this. They both as far as I'm concerned, both of them have failed to discuss local elections in terms of local, approach to the whole thing. If the debate looks no different from any state assembly or Lok Sabha elections, the usual corruption thing and all. I want any party to say, now that we are an IT superpower, every councillor will have a web page in which that person will individually, for the local area concerned, list the things they have done, and with a very clear financial accountability on what was done and how was done, and hold themselves accountable if there is a local drainage problem or anything. The more you discuss corruption in the stratosphere, the more you discuss, your party did this, my party did this, you are defeating the spirit of the local election, which means you are conceptually zero. You have to educate yourself before you go claim to represent your parties. If you're really smart, you will discuss local issues in local idioms with a local accountability. This is not happening, which means you're not intellectually qualified yet to discuss local elections. Sorry to say this, the time has come for the media to act as the judiciary on this. He will tell you what to do. Please do.
But sir, what happens? What should we do about the issue of corruption? Why do you think that issue should not be raised? I want to ask you, because unfortunately, these local bodies had only corruption as the main issue. There have been so many cases, and here we are talking about all political parties, not just one. Like I was giving you some data, all civic projects, in fact, were plagued by corruption in the last 6 years, even though there were no elected councillors at that point in time. Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, why do you think we should not raise the issue of corruption?
No, Heena, I have a problem with, I agree that there's a lot of corruption.
What was my first question, sir? Is this election about grabbing power or ensuring that, there is going to be no corruption this time, so that these parties can really focus on the projects of people, so that they can work to make the lives of people better, instead of just ensuring their own lives get better, sir? How can we not discuss the issue of corruption?
Heena, just give me 10 seconds.
1 second. Sanjay Pinto first.
Okay. Heena, having covered the city, in fact, I used to write on civic issues in the Indian Express when I was in class 8, when I was 13 years old. And, so I have covered the city since the age of 13. And I must confess, in fact, I agree with Saravanan. Most of the development that you see in Chennai, since this debate is on Chennai, be it parks, be it bridges, be it flyovers, has been by the DMK government. To that extent, I must definitely give them credit for infrastructure in the city. The point that I'm trying to make, the suggestion that I am mooting, in fact, is perhaps the next time around, it's too late now, the elections are happening tomorrow, that if there's some sort of representation or some reservation given for activists, for local welfare associations to actually have that backing, because much as I believe in the power of one, I also know the reality when it comes to elections. Without institutional backing, without the backing of a political party, it's almost impossible to get elected. That's the fact. A lot of people will have a lot of optimism, but this is a reality will soon bite. So I would appeal to all political parties, starting with the ruling DMK now, to consider having local personalities, people from Residents Welfare Association. Let's for instance have local debates. Let's have weekly debates on garbage segregation. On every time you find that that when action is taken that impacts our lives, the local people are not really consulted. Let's say suddenly some road becomes one way. Now the metro work was happening, and a lot of people had a voice, but they were not able to really ventilate their grievances. So somebody who is from that area, local persons, people who have a track record in social service. I gave you that one example of a Vincent D'Souza. There are several other well-meaning people in Chennai. I'm sure if the parties can feel these well-meaning people as councillor candidates, that's when you'll be able to see change on the ground. That's when, people who will not, for instance, that 94-year-old lady asked a question who's contesting. I'm 94 years old. Why will I need money? People who do not have, whose background, whose profile, whose track record speaks for itself, people who will not be corrupt. That's really the solution to infrastructural problems. So this is a suggestion I would like to root to my good friend Saravanan to take it up with the party high command.
Narayan Tirupati wanted to respond.
Yeah. See, I think Mr. Madhavan Narayanan was very wrong, because the issue here in Tamil Nadu, particularly in Chennai, is corruption. And what all infrastructure we have, it is being wasted by, it is being destroyed by the officials or the political parties, the councillors or MLAs. Definitely we have to blame them. They have the role to play. They have done it. They have spoiled it. So we have to take it to them, because people are very much aware about all these happenings. Under the roads, the stormwater drains, the drainage systems, everything. We are suffering. We have been suffering. I mean, let it be ADMK government or DMK government. There is no change because of corruption. Except corruption, this city would have been excellent. The money is being spent very, very correctly, but unfortunately they don't implement. So absolutely, corruption is the main cause. Corruption is the main reason we are talking. And Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, I don't know how he says that, you have this. We have everything. We have very good infrastructure.
With due respect, Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, after Chennai voted in 1968, there was a long gap of 28 years when polls were held for Chennai Corporation in 1996 by the then DMK government. The Corporation Council was superseded in 1973 when 1.25 crore muster roll scandal broke out, and that involved the mayor who belonged to the DMK, as there were other councillors who were involved as well. In the past 50 years, we've seen how these politicians have literally reduced these local bodies to cesspools of corruption. That's also a fact. In fact, we also know that not just the DMK, but even the several ministers of previous government today are facing charges of corruption while awarding civic contracts only. And that is the reason why I wanted to highlight not just the issues of people, but also the fact that whether this election, this time, which is happening after about 10 years, is going to focus on grabbing power or to ensure that, whatever money is there, it is used for the benefit of the people of Chennai, people of Tamil Nadu, instead of indulging in corruption. Madhavan Narayan, very quick response. Then I'll go across to Sarvan.
Small point, which is that I don't disagree with the diagnosis by Mr. Narayanan Tirupati or by you. There is a lot of corruption. I am suggesting a new localized approach to solving the problem on the lines of Sanjay Pinto. If you create a culture of transparency with a local accountability, with we need promises on those lines and execution on those lines. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. A. Sarvanan wants to respond. Let me repeat the question that I had asked earlier as well. Why can't we have socially eminent people who understand the ground reality, as Mr. Narayanan, as Mr. Sanjay Pinto has suggested, be part of these local body elections, be part of, be your representatives in local body polls?
Yeah, Heena. Yeah, first
probably it's not there. That's why these voices are emerging today.
Yes, Heena, yes. See, first, BJP is the den of corruption. They are the richest party. You think they become the richest party by being very nice and
in Tamil Nadu also?
No,
are they more powerful than DMK and AIADMK in Tamil Nadu? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sarvanan?
No, Heena, let me complete. the richest party by corruption through electoral bonds. So let Mr. Narayanan Tirupati not preach us or take lessons to us on corruption.
You are illegally collecting money, sir.
Sir,
But how is it related to Tamil Nadu civic body polls, Sarvanan?
Yeah, no, I'm coming
How
to
is it related to Tamil Nadu civic body polls? We're talking about a very, very important issue.
Yes, yes.
Two important points have been raised by my panelists here. One, that you're not really focusing on the issues of people. Second, you're not really getting people who've got their ear to the ground as your representatives in such elections. These are two very important points that we've heard so far.
Yes, Heena. Yes, I'm coming to that. See, my earlier response was because of what Mr. Narayanan Tirupati was saying, to remind the viewers how highly corrupt the BJP is. Leave it at that.
No, but you answer my question. No, I have asked you a question. You forget about what he said.
I'm coming to it, Heena.
Mr. Narayan Tirupati, let him respond, please.
Yes.
Let him respond, sir. Yes, go ahead, Sarvanan.
You're talking about eminent people and socially responsible people. Why can't they be made as a part of this? See, it is their willingness. If someone who is eminent is willing, see, for being in politics is not an easy job. Nobody prefers that, Heena, to be on record. Nobody wants to do that. Whoever is there, they don't want to do that. This is not easy grind. So we can keep on saying that we need a lot of people, a lot of goodwill people, good-natured people. We need a lot of eminence. We need a lot of social workers and all that. But are they willing to involve themselves in the process of politics? The answer is a big no. So that is the reason why
Gokul Chandran.
Things are happening.
Okay. Narayan Tirupati, quick response, and Gokul Chandran. He's been patiently waiting for quite some time.
Saravanan clearly indicates that those who do not have money, they cannot contest. That is what Saravanan very clearly says. The DMK says.
Yeah, BJP is the richest party in the country.
Okay.
They become the richest party.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 second. Gokul Chandran wants to respond now. Gokul Chandran wants to respond now.
Yeah, Heena, on the issue of fielding
Okay, let's not make it BJP versus DMK, gentlemen, please. Yes, Gokul Chandran.
On issue of fielding eminent personalities, as Mr. Sanjay Pinto pointed out, I agree with Saravanan. Because, see, these people in the political parties, let it be DMK, ADMK, BJP or Congress, they are working for years, expecting something, some recognition, somewhere, sometime in their life. That's when they get a councillor seat or councillor seat or something like that. So we cannot brush away them and give the seat to someone from outside. So if the person is so much eminent and he knows everything, let him join the party. Let him join the political party. Let it be DMK or ADMK. And
so you are agreeing to my point of this being a placatory exercise. So Gokul Chandran, you are agreeing to my point of this being a placatory exercise.
If you support someone,
it's about rewarding people.
Yeah, if you support someone and if he wins, what is the surety that he will not join with the other party, other political party? For example, if DMK supports an independent today, and if he wins tomorrow, if there is a shortage of one seat to form the government by ADMK, he will jump over to ADMK. So let them join the political stream, let them join the political party and fight for the elections. That would be the right way.
Okay. Sanjay Pinto, will you like to respond to what Mr. Sarvanan said as to why we are not getting people who can actually work for the people as the candidates for such elections?
No, I think well-meaning people, there are a lot of well-meaning people I know who would like to be apolitical. Being apolitical is not a crime. Being neutral is not a crime. If you want to be apolitical and yet want to make a difference, why can't you be empowered by the political establishment in terms of giving them these responsibilities? That's my point. Why should primary membership of a party be a prerequisite to do good work as part of the system? You can do good work outside the system as well. But as part of the system, in fact, the DMK has already done it. For instance, they appointed this gentleman, Sivaraja, to the entrepreneurship, to head entrepreneurship in the state. I'm not sure whether he is a member of the party. But there are cases where they have recognized talent. So why can't they recognize good intentions? Those who want to make a difference, let them have a proper vetting of these candidates in terms of their background, in terms of their antecedents, and field at least a few. Let's have 10 well-meaning people to represent Chennai in the next election. That is the challenge that I would like to, a suggestion, not even a challenge, a suggestion that I would like to make. And why can't we have, for instance, regular meetings?
Will you accept that suggestion, Sarvanan, Narayan Tirupati?
One more point, Heena, for instance, once you get elected, once they get elected, after that,
Yes,
do you
Saravanan,
really- are
one
you able
second.
to find
Saravanan,
them?
1 second.
Yeah, sure. Once they get elected, are we able to actually see
Okay.
many of them? A few of them are, yes, there are some very committed MLAs who are on the ground. You can see them always. You can see them on social media as well. But why can't we have a monthly breakfast with an MLA, a monthly breakfast or a lunch with a minister? So you have people from representatives from associations who can go and voice their grievances there and get it resolved across the table.
Okay. Important suggestions have been made. Let's get A. Saravanan and Mr. Narayan Tirupati to respond to that. Saravanan first, then Mr. Tirupati.
Yeah, see, the suggestions made by Mr. Sanjay is all are valid suggestions. See, definitely they'll be implemented. That is what I've told you this time. 2021, 22, the elections that are going to take place is going to change the face of Chennai yet again. And it also is going to change the way the city has been administered so far. We have implemented. That's what I gave the example of how the chief minister was working, and he wants that kind of governance to trickle down to the bottom. That is why this elections are very important. Whatever the suggestions made by Mr. Sanjay Pinto are all valid ones. In due course, all of them will be implemented whenever it is possible. So we don't have any.
Sadly, there are many who feel that you're not really touching upon the local issues. Narayan Tirupati, quick response.
Yeah,
yes.
As Sanjay said, I accept what Sanjay said, because we have fielded a lot of candidates in this election, new faces, and also people who wants to come up in political life. They want to serve the society. We have identified them and we have asked them to contest in our symbol. That is what we have done. And the youths, particularly youths. But the only problem with BJP now is that, we don't have big money like DMK has. That is what we have been saying, that DMK is trying to... No, it's a fact. It's not a joke.
4,000 crore.
You are smiling and you are saying that it's a joke.
BJP is the 4,000 crore empire.
No. You cannot interrupt me. You cannot interrupt me. You cannot interrupt me.
On time.
It's a fact.
Okay, Mr. Saravanan, let him complete his point at least. Mr. Saravanan, 1 second. I gave you time to respond. Let him complete what he is saying. Okay.
DMK, by use of its power in the government and also the money power, they are trying to create a tense situation. That is what they are doing. Then it is in practice. They have done it before. Tomorrow you will definitely see, I'm telling you, Heena, you will see violence, you will see booth capturing, you will see people from DMK taking control of booths in the local body elections, because DMK wants to grab power, as you rightly said. That is what they are doing, and we have charged them. We have given.
Okay, Saravanan, quick rebuttal. Then Mr. Madhavan Narayanan. Yes, 10 seconds only, please.
Yes, Mr. Narayanan Tirupati is talking about misusing power. It is they who misuse the power. There was a foreign gentleman who was on a tour here. He praised the DMK government. It was not immediately the BJP government not able to tolerate it. Their intolerance shows. Intolerance shows. They sent a notice.
What happened?
Well, unfortunately, amidst this political slugfest, what gets lost is what people of Chennai, people of Tamil Nadu really want from these very, very crucial elections, because the voters there are only looking for those people who promise clean governance and, of course, better policies to make their life better. I want to give the last word to Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, then I'll have to wind up this debate.
We need to invent a new idiom of local politics, Heena. I think we need to look beyond simple allegations or promises into a culture of accountability involving what Sanjay Pinto says, eminent citizens, Residents' Welfare Association, and also apolitical people, in a way that uses technology that is available now for transparent accountability, so that people can, have accessible accountability, so that they can blame or praise those who deserve to be do this. That's why I'm saying we need to shift from a culture of talevars to a culture of nammavars, if to use a Tamil this thing, our own people, so that, you can have a clear-cut local association between outcomes and promises.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, all of you, for joining us here on Urban Debate on this very, very issue this evening. The voting will happen tomorrow, and Mirror Now will keep you ahead on this big story from Tamil Nadu.